Merhaba arkadaşlar, ben Johnny Retro ve Gamers Overdrive'a hoş geldiniz.
Welcome to Gamers Overdrive Retro Mode. Kick back and relax while I blast you back in time and guide you down a pixelated, coin-operated, button-mashing memory lane paved with joysticks, consoles, and dusty old cartridges. Where good guys are always good guys, bad guys are always bad guys, and the fate of the universe lies in your hands. Time to kick it into overdrive, retro mode. Insert coin to play.
Hey everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of Gamers Overdrive Retro Mode. If this is your first time on the channel, don't forget to like this video, and please subscribe for more weekly gaming retro content. So, for those of you who don't know, I live in Istanbul, Turkey. I'm not from here originally. I am from Boston, Massachusetts, but I've been living here for about 4 years now. And I can speak Turkish. Öyle mi? Seni yalancı seni, sen Türkçe bilmiyorsun. Okay, maybe I exaggerate a little bit. I can communicate in Turkish fairly well. I can understand very well. Speaking I have a little bit of difficulty with, but... Ne diyorsun sen ya? Düzgün konuş. Senin Türkçen berbat. Alright, that's a little unnecessary, and it's an exaggeration. My Turkish is not terrible. I can communicate fairly well. I've been learning for about 15 years. Artist! Yani yalancı. 15 sene öyle mi? Alright, I was introduced to the language 15 years ago. Alright, when I met my wife, who was then my girlfriend, that was the first interaction that I had with a Turkish person in my entire life. So I started learning here and there from her, and then from the Turkish people that I met shortly after meeting her. Türkiye'yi seviyor musun? Yes, I love Turkey. Actually, I'm a huge Turkophile. I'm a very big fan of Turkey as a country. I love the people, I love the music, I love the food, and I love the history. So yes, I am a big fan of Turkey, and I'm very happy living here. Peki Amerika daha mı güzel? I don't like to compare countries or cultures. I think everything is nice in its own way. You know, I love certain things about America, and I love certain things about Turkey. But overall, I'm very happy with Turkey as a country. Now, as far as the language goes, I do speak Turkish decently well. I speak it mostly every day when I'm communicating with my wife's family. But of course, I speak kind of broken Turkish. I don't speak perfectly fluently. And berbat dedim, berbat. Oğlum sen Türkçe bilmiyorsun. Düzgün konuş. I don't know why he's interrupting me. But I think I speak pretty well for a person who has never taken any classes. So I've learned most of my Turkish from just my interactions with people. I worked in Turkish restaurants in America over the years, and of course through my wife's family and the Turkish friends that I've met. So I just pick things up along the way, and of course that results in a kind of a mishmash of language. So certain things I can say very well, certain things I am lacking. So a lot of times there's a word or two that I have no idea what it means, so I might have to mime it out and act it out. But that's all part of the learning process, and you know, as long as I'm understood, I'm pretty happy. Çekoslovakyalılaştırmadıklarımızdan mısınız? I don't know what that means. But anyway, so living in Turkey as a gamer is pretty interesting because there's a lot of things that are very different about the gaming experience in Turkey as compared to America. The first thing that I found is that Turkish people tend to love football games, which we call soccer.
Peki hangi takım tutuyorsun?
I don't really tuck any team, but I am a part of a Galatasaray family, so I would say that Galatasaray is my team.
Koçum, aferin sana.
Yeah, there's a huge, cultural aspect to which team you follow in Turkey. So the big three are Fenerbahce, Galatasaray, and Beşiktaş. And of course there are other important teams too, but those are the big three. And which team you support plays a big part of your experience in Turkey.
Galatasaray, Galatasaray, cim bom bom. Galatasaray, Galatasaray, cim bom bom.
As you can see, they take it very seriously here. So they love football games, soccer games, and they especially love the Winning 11 series, which then went on to become the Pro Evolution Soccer series, which is from Konami. And now in recent years, FIFA has kind of taken over in that area. So FIFA is just seen as the more realistic game. But if you ask, I don't like soccer, football, whatever you want to call it. I'm not a fan of it. And I'm not really a fan of the games either. I find them extremely boring, to tell you the truth.
Vay terbiyesiz. Ne diyorsun sen? Ha? Ha?
I mean, if you like football, it's your thing, of course, I totally respect it. I'm just, when it comes on TV here, I usually leave the room and go find something else to do. Like play a retro game on my phone.
Artist.
So, so mostly when you talk to people here, they love football games. They also love... Counter-Strike has a huge following here also. Kind of older first-person shooters. And of course, in modern times, games like PUBG and... what's the other one that's like PUBG, but with like cartoony people? Fortnite. That goes to show you how into it I am. So yeah, PUBG, Fortnite, those are huge here. And with the younger generation, of course, like Brawl Stars and that type of thing. But yeah, retro games here are usually when you talk to somebody about retro games here, they'll say that...
Sen ne hakkında konuşuyorsun? Atari mi?
Yeah, Atari is actually an American game company that created a few consoles back in the day, and then the big video game crash of 1983, I think it was, that they kind of went down. But then they came back as a software developer. So when you say Atari to an American, we have a very specific idea of a specific company and a specific console that you're talking about, a specific set of games. So here, kind of a retro game is referred to as an Atari game. That's the general word that they use for just video games. And back in the day, I have a friend who told me when I would talk to him about games, he would say, yeah, I used to play all the classic games like, Sonic, Mario, Pac-Man. I played it on Atari. And I was like, Atari?
Evet artist. Türkiye'de öyle. Sıkıntı var mı ha? Ha?
No, I don't have any problem with that. I just it's just an interesting thing for me. So Atari is here. It just means kind of video game, general video game back in the day. Now, in terms of my experience playing retro games in Turkey, I usually use my phone because it's just the easiest way. And I also have mini consoles, which I've shown in previous videos. But there are so many different ways to play. And in Turkey, of course, there are these followings of... of course, there's huge fanatics of classic games here. And I'm not downplaying any of the fanaticism. Actually, a lot of people here are bigger fans than I am of retro games. And of course, they have groups online and gatherings and get-togethers and all that stuff.
Ama sen gelmiyorsun. Niye biliyor musun? Çünkü seni sevmiyoruz o yüzden.
I don't know why he's so rude. But yeah, so in my episode here, I just wanted to talk about kind of my experience living in Turkey being unique. Because it's really cool living here and talking to people about games and seeing their unique perspective. My brother-in-law, he had an Amiga system back in the day, in the 90s. And so whenever he thinks of retro games, he thinks of Amiga games and all of the huge catalog that comes with that. And he had a funny experience. His name is Ateş. Merhaba Ateş, ne yapıyorsun? Merhaba, iyi misin? Good issues. So he was telling me, like, when I started doing this retro thing, he wanted to see all the Amiga games. And so I showed them to him on my little system. And he was like...
Bu ne ya? Öyle değil. Niye öyle gözüküyor?
And a lot of that is just the cloud of nostalgia. Sometimes games look better in our memory than they do in reality. Unfortunately. But not all games. Some games still look good today. Now, today, in honor of Turkey, the country that I live in, the country that I love, the country that the people I love most in the world, my wife and my daughter, come from, I'm doing a game that you might not expect because it's not very well known. It's called Osman.
Aferin sana. Çok iyi bir oyun buldun ya.
Osman is a game that's very similar to Strider. If you've ever played Strider, it's right along the same lines. And actually, it's kind of the unofficial sequel to Strider. and it's set in a kind of it's a futuristic game. So I guess you could call it steampunk in a way, because it uses elements of Middle Eastern lore and mythology, and it puts it into kind of a futuristic ninja side-scrolling Strider-esque game. And it's pretty cool. It's very fun. Still looks good today if you ask me. And Osman, the name Osman, is actually what we get in English, where we get the name Ottoman. So the word Ottoman is actually a variation of Osman, who was the first sultan of the Osmanlı Empire. Little history lesson for you there if you didn't know. Aferin sana. Tamam, sen iyisin. Eyvallah, teşekkür ederim abi. Aferin sana. En sonunda Türkçe konuşuyorsun. Vay vay. I know it's not great, but it's something that I'm working on, okay? Estağfurullah, çok iyi konuşuyorsun bence. Thanks, man. Seni çok seviyorum. I love you too, man. So here we go. Osman. 3, 2, 1. Koyut.
Hey everybody, so I'm here in MAME right now, and I usually use my retro collection app, but I'm not using it this time because I had to download this game separately, so it was just easier for me to play directly from MAME. So here's my list here, and if you look here, this is Osman World, the World Edition, Global Edition. I'm loading it up here, and you'll see a really awesome intro. I love the intro to this game. It's got a very fantasy-heavy, anime-inspired intro. See, there's like a whole lot of drama going on here. A lot of Middle Eastern imagery. And take a look at that. That right there, that guy is Osman. So he's our hero. And I'm gonna actually insert some coins here. So Osman, are you ready for your adventure? So remember, this is like a steampunk, futuristic, Middle Eastern, Turkish-ish, Arabian type deal, like a mishmash of kind of Middle Eastern tropes with kind of a steampunk vibe to it. So it actually happens in the future. So this dude here, we save our people, seek and destroy Abdullah the Slaver. Abdullah the Slaver must die. On the Persian Gulf. Take a look at that. That looks pretty fancy. So here's Osman. So Osman, when he kicks people, they explode, which is always a nice ability to have. I wish I had that ability. But you see, he has no weapons actually. He's really cool. He just uses his hands and his feet. And there's like this really cool shadow effect that stays behind him when he doesn't move. So this is very, if you look at it, if you know anything about the game Strider, this game is very, very heavily inspired by Strider. Look at this, he even climbs up, you know, in the vertical overhang spaces, just exactly like Strider. So you're just destroying these robots and these laser shooting dudes, and when you kick them or punch them, they explode. It's a very satisfying game. This is actually exactly my type of game. I love this style of game. It's a hack and slash, arcade, kind of beat 'em up, and it's very easy to play. It's like the gameplay is just a no-brainer. It's just basically two buttons. You have an attack and a jump, and if you know, different combinations of those two will give you different results. So it looks like I just exploded into oblivion there. So here we have some floating robo heads and a little dude shaking his fist down there, and Osman is dead, but unfortunately I have unlimited coins. So geçmiş olsun Osman Bey. Here we go, continuing the fight. So check it out, he's got a cool little style going on here. He's got his baggy Arabian Nights pants on, or his kind of, might call those Sultan pants. And look at this little mini boss. What an awesome mini boss just to fight right away. It's like a kind of a demon goddess over here, and so you have to attack her head, and she shoots out butterflies and little sparkly balls and laser beams. Very colorful game. and very creative art design. I really like the art design in this game a lot. And I'm willing to bet that most people who are watching this video have never heard of this game. It's a very obscure title. And check out this dude in the limo. And it's a very obscure title. Not many people have heard of it, but I thought it was relevant just because of the name. And you know, in the namesake Osman, it's a Turkish name. It's a very important Turkish name, and I thought maybe to pay tribute to my gaming experiences in Turkey, I would inform the Turkish public that this game exists. So you can play this game. It's called Osman. Very easy to find, very easy to download, and very easy to play. Not as hard as I'm making it look, because I'm talking up a storm here. But yeah, so the enemies attack in just basic, simple patterns, and you can climb just like Strider can. And I'm telling you that just the way that this game plays is very, very smooth, and it's very fun. Also, it's a just pick up and play game. You don't really have to think much, and I wouldn't call it mindless. It's kind of mindless, I guess. I mean, you have clear objectives, and they're not that difficult to achieve. But of course, these arcade games, you know, they were designed to kind of steal your money. So the death rate is always very high in these games. You know, unless you're a professional player and you're just like a master who plays all the time, you're probably gonna die quite often. Look at how creative these. Look at blast. That dude blasted me with a giant, spiky, circular saw chainsaw. Look at this. Is very cool design. I love this design. The character design is amazing. And I'm playing with, if you're curious, I'm playing on my phone with a MAME emulator, and I'm using a PS4 controller, which can be used as Bluetooth controller very easily. It takes 3 seconds to set up. It's very easy. So I play most of my retro games with a PS4 controller, just because I have an extra one, and it's really comfortable to play with. So, you know, I've gone through so many different controllers. In the early days of my retro gaming, I used to look for the best Bluetooth controllers available, and I've had a few. I've had the Moga, different variations of the Moga. I've had one called an Ipega, and they're all pretty good. But now that you can use the Xbox controller and the PlayStation 4 controller, I don't see any reason to not use them. They're really the best, in my opinion. I'm just dying a lot here. But the thing about this game is I just admire the art design so much. When I'm playing, I'm just examining the backgrounds and especially the bosses. The bosses look so cool. And look at these little cutscenes. Really awesome animation. To desecrate my sanctuary. Dare you. So here are some bouncy crystals. And you know, everything is very heavily animated. Look at his pants, like his baggy pants when he's jumping up and down. Got that cool little flow, the wind flow. And so here we have like a gigantic steampunk octopus dude who killed me. And while jumping with enemy, press B button to throw him down. Okay, try that. So of course, you should be more strategic when you play this game than me. I'm really more playing it just as a graphical display than anything else, and just to show you the basic game mechanics. But yeah, this is one that really flew under the radar for me. It came out in 1996, and it was arcade only, so this never had a home console release. And yeah, nobody who I mentioned this game to has ever heard of it. So unless you're like a really hardcore retro arcade game player. But look at just the scaling in the background. Look at the tigers. This is awesome to me. I think this game is really fun. So if on my scale, on my simple scale, here on Gamers Overdrive, I have my rating scale, which is nice and simple. I like to keep it simple. I don't want to overthink things or give people too much to think about. At the end of the day, it's a game. So I would give this a rad score. I think this game is pretty rad. I would play it from time to time. I think this is a very fun pick up and play game. Beautiful, beautiful graphics. I love the graphics. I love the different the variations of the play mechanics, and I like the character himself. He's super cool, and his name is Osman. So for you Turkish people out there, you can have some pride in this when you're playing. Just say, "Vay be, Osman, aferin sana." He's a Turkish ninja, and there are not many Turkish ninjas out there. So I think that we should appreciate and respect all Turkish ninjas who fall to their death so gracefully as he just did. So that's it for this episode of Gamers Overdrive Retro Mode. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more weekly retro content. And I will see you next time. Görüşürüz. Haydi kendine iyi bakın. Arkadaşlar öpüyorum size. Haydi öptüm, bye bye. Mwah.